The House will come to order. The chair recognizes the member from Auburn, Representative Osborne, who moves that the House adjourn from the session of April 23rd, 2026. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the House is adjourned. The House will attend to a prayer by House Chaplain Reverend Kevin Trombley, pastor of Restoration Foursquare Church in Concord.
Good morning. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as this house gathers again today, we pause at the start of this session to acknowledge something greater than ourselves, that leadership is a sacred trust, and service carries both privilege and weight. Grant wisdom to those who speak, patience to those who listen, and clarity to those who must discern difficult decisions. Where there is tension, sow understanding. Where there is weariness, renew strength. Where there is uncertainty, give steady resolve. Guard this chamber from empty words, hardened hearts, and shallow division. Instead, cultivate honesty, humility, and a genuine desire for the common good. Help each representative remember that behind every bill debated and every vote cast are real people, real families, real communities, and real lives impacted by what is done here. Bless this state, from our small towns and rural communities to our growing cities, from those who prosper to those who quietly struggle, from the young who are full of hope to the elderly who carry wisdom earned over many years. And today, may each person serving in this room be guided not merely by what is expedient, but by what is right, just, and worthy of the trust placed in them. Give peace to restless hearts, wisdom to active minds, and grace enough for this day's work. Amen.
The chair recognizes a member from Manchester, Representative Kathy Staub, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The chair recognizes Lily Fitzpatrick from Hooksett, who will now sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bones bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
The House will attend to requests for leaves of absence.
Mr. Speaker, the day, illness, Representatives Birch, Bucco, Gibbs, Hill, Lloyd, Scher, Sheehan, Sofakidis. The day, important business, Representatives Bennett, Arnold Davis, Gregg, Hacken Phillips, Harvey Bolia, Janesian, Levitt, John McDonald, McKenzie, Malone, Reynolds, Rice, Sellers, Vallone, Varney, Wilhelm. The day, death in the family, Representatives Fadolfi and Scully.
These leaves of absence shall be granted unless otherwise ordered by the House. The House will attend to the introduction of guests.
Mr. Speaker, please welcome Mary Jane Beauregard, guest of Representative Kofalt, Brian Verville, brother of Representative Verville, and Robert Fox, guest of Representative Priest. They are with us in the gallery today.
Welcome to the New Hampshire House. The House will attend to Senate messages.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled Bill with Amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1228, relative to the enforcement of alimony orders and relative to waivers of alimony. Representative DeSimone moves we concur and is recognized to speak to a motion.
Representative DeSimone urges that we concur and is recognized to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the committee has agreed to concur, although there is a small amendment to this. It helps the bill be a better bill, so we do concur.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill 1228. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled Bill with Amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1460, prohibiting the sale of a child's personal data. Representative DeSimone moves we concur and is recognized to speak on the motion.
Representative DeSimone urges that we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a good bill. It protects children. The people on the other side of the wall agree with us on that, as does the committee, and we concur and ask you to vote yes.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill 1460. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled Bill with Amendment, in passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1514, requiring the Department of Education and the Department of Revenue Administration to send school monitoring and financial reports to relevant school and school board authorities. Representative Ladd moves we concur and is recognized.
Representative Ladd moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Senate version changes the term compliance report to monitoring report and inserts an annual deadline of July 10 for DRA to recreate and send the district audit compliance report to the Department of Education for electronic transfer to the school districts. We urge your concurrence.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill 1514. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. The chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled Bill with Amendment, in passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 131, relative to bullying and cyberbullying prevention.
Representative Noble moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill addresses bullying and passed this body 190 to 149. The other body amended it to add public academies. It narrows who bullying incidents should be reported to and restores the language for the private right of action that is in current statute, and I urge the body to concur.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill 131. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. Division has been called. Nobody in, nobody out. This will be a division vote on the motion to concur. This is a clarification motion. It's a clarification division vote. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Baldwin.
All members present have an opportunity to vote. House will tend to stay to the vote. 169 voting nay, 133 voting nay. The motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House on the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 292, establishing a revolving loan fund for school districts.
Representative Noble moves that we non-concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The original bill was replaced with a temporary revolving loan fund that was going to help Claremont. Claremont has managed to address their financial issues without this, so it's no longer needed, and I urge the body to non-concur.
The motion before us is to non-concur on House Bill 292. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House on the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 564, relative to the adoption of school administrative unit budgets.
Representative Noble moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill requires the SAU budget to be a separate warrant article. The other body amended it to add that unassigned fund balances shall be apportioned and returned to the constituent districts at the end of the fiscal year, and I urge the body to concur.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill 564. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. This will be Representative Sweeney has asked for a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is sufficiently seconded. This will be a roll call vote. Members, take your seats.
No, he did not ask any agreements. It can still be a roll call. It doesn't have to be a division. Correct.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill. The House will be in order. This is a clarification vote on House Bill 564. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Gilman. Representative Newell.
If all members present have an opportunity to vote, House will tend to stay to the vote. 184 voting yea, 140 voting nay. The motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1031, enabling candidates for state office to use campaign funds to pay for security measures.
Representative Berry moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Oh, okay, this bill. All right, sorry. Sorry about that. It wasn't on my list, Mr. Speaker. I apologize. Cut a little off guard there. This is a bill that allows the use of campaign funds for the purchase of security measures. The Senate added one clause to it that actually expanded it. So it's kind of much ado about nothing. I believe we passed this on the consent calendar, and I would imagine we're likely to do so again.
The motion before us to concur in House Bill 1031. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1266, allowing election moderators access to the area designated for counting votes during the performance of their duties.
Representative Berry moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you. Again, this is a bill that allows moderators who are constitutionally entitled to conduct an election within the guardrail so that they can conduct the election. We've discussed this before, election law. We don't love the idea of people who are running for office being inside there, but you have to elect somebody to run the office, and they're elected to do it. So the Senate made some kind of, really, they put their fingerprints on it. They didn't really make any real changes. So I believe, once again, we passed this on a consent calendar, and I would ask the body to, again, pass a bipartisan vote.
Motion before us to concur in House Bill 1266. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1298, relative to the disposal of electronic ballot counting device external memory devices.
Representative Berry moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
I guess it's election law time. Sorry. This bill, we have to do something with these memory storage devices. So this puts it in line with the federal statutes and our current statutes, and it treats them like we would ballots and every other election record. We have to maintain it for, I think, a period of at least 3 years, and then we can get rid of them. It also allows for these to be erased because we're running into a memory card problem for those of you who are still using the older machines. We can't get the memory cards anymore, so it does allow them to be erased.
Motion before us is to concur on House Bill 1298. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1013, relative to games wherein the object is to capture a pig.
Representative Judy Arring moves that we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill provides for the Department of Agriculture, Markets and Food to set up best practices for games where the object is to capture a pig. And the Senate made some changes which we're good with, the Environment and Agriculture Committee. They just removed a section where Departments of Agriculture, Markets and Food would have made up some penalties for non-compliance of rules. So we encourage you to concur, and thank you very much.
Representative Aaron moves we concur on House Bill 1013. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1153, establishing a committee to study New Hampshire statutes relative to cats and dogs. Representative Aaron moves we concur.
Representative Aaron moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this bill just sets up a study committee, and the Environment and Agriculture Committee is good with the Senate changes. They just changed the quorum number for the study committee. That's all. Thanks. Please concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1153. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1253, exempting dogs guarding livestock or crops from nuisance dog statutes when engaged in such work.
Representative Aaron moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Another dog and cat bill. This bill, we're good. The Environment and Agriculture Committee is good with the changes the Senate made. They just removed some penalty sections, and essentially the bill now defines in statute what livestock guardian dogs are and what crop guardian dogs are, and that's a good thing. So we hope that you will concur with those changes. Thank you.
Motion before us is to concur on House Bill 1253. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. The chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1766, relative to cruelty to livestock.
Representative Aaron moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. So this was a bill that was sent to us from the Senate with some changes. We worked with the Senate on some of these changes, having to do with how animals may be confiscated or not in charges of animal cruelty. This is a really good bill. And we worked with members of New Hampshire Farm Bureau and law enforcement to address their concerns. It's a much better bill now that it's come back from the Senate, and we encourage you to concur with these changes. Thank you.
The motion before us is to concur on House Bill 1766. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1780, relative to seed laws.
Representative Aaron moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Last one. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we're good with the Senate changes on this bill. This had to do with the way we deal with seed labeling information regarding seed expiration dates, and Senate made some changes to those dates, and we encourage you to concur with those changes. Thank you so much.
Motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1780. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. The chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks concurrence of the House. House Bill 1199, enabling the Fish and Game Department to create a permit and fee for the use of fish and game staff by other state agencies and departments.
Representative Splain moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the body, I should let you know that this is just a small change. Previously, the law for infant lifetime licenses said that anytime up to the first birthday they could purchase this license. This other body across the wall simply made a change to say up to and including the birthday, so you could actually buy it on the birthday. I suggest we concur.
The motion before us is concur in House Bill 1199. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1308, relative to increasing the penalty for passing a stopped school bus.
Representative Rhodes, we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our friends over there clarified some of the language to say that if the footage is used, that the owner is entitled to the footage and that it has to be made available by subpoena, and we would ask that you concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1308. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1363, relative to employee candidate background checks.
Representative Rhodes moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The change that was made to House Bill 1363 is again some clarifying language. It says that if there's any criminal conviction finding, that information is to be sent to any designated person from the commissioner within the Department of Safety, and we would ask that you concur. Thank you.
Motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1363. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 524, relative to disbursement of funds by the New Hampshire Vaccine Association. Representatives McDonald and Janine move we concur.
Representative McDonald and Janine move that we concur, and the chair recognizes Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Senate removed Section 3, which established a committee to study the efficacy of the New Hampshire Vaccine Association. This was a two-committee bill, as the Speaker indicated and as the clerk indicated. I've conferred with the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and we both ask that you concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 524. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks concurrence of the House. House Bill 1318, renewing the committee to study non-pharmacological treatment options for patients with chronic pain.
Representative McDonald moves that we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What the Senate did is they proposed to extend the study committee to 2028 and add an additional interim report as a result, and I would ask you to concur with that.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1318. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1763, establishing a committee to study citing and maintenance rules regarding certain intellectual and development disability, IDD, and acquired brain disorder, ABD, community residents.
Representative Wayne McDonald moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate version adds that the representative of the area agency system is to be recommended by the Community Support Network Incorporated. That was the only change they made, and we ask you that you concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1763. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, and the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1726, relative to the sale of surplus state-owned land and establishing a committee to study the sale of state-owned property.
Representative Alexander moves that we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Housing Committee received a number of bills relative to the disposition of state-owned land. The Senate chose to amend this into a study commission that includes members of the legislature and other department heads. I move that we concur. Thank you.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1726. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks concurrence of the House. House Bill 1369, relative to the manner of posting the warrant for town meetings.
Senator Power moves that we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment modernizes the current law by making notice requirements for special meetings more flexible. Instead of mandating both newspaper and website posting, it requires municipalities to use at least 2 of 3 methods: newspaper publication, posting in 2 public places, or posting on the municipal website. This ensures broad and practical public notice. In sum, the Senate amendment retains the House policy goal of expanded public notice and provides greater flexibility and local control in posting special meeting notices. For these reasons, I ask that this body vote yes to concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1369. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1468, relative to a flood resilience section in municipal master plans.
Representative Power moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment builds on the bill passed by the House by amending RSA 674-2 to add a distinct flood resilience section that requires identification of specific flood risks and the development of goals and recommendations to address impacts on public safety, infrastructure, and property. In sum, the Senate amendment preserves the House policy of strengthening flood resilience planning and provides clearer structure and more actionable guidance for municipalities. For these reasons, I ask that the House vote to concur. Thank you.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1468. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, and passage of which amendment the Senate asks concurrence of the House. House Bill 1535, relative to clarifying eligible renewable energy classes under the Renewable Portfolio Standard.
Representative Rose moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The original intent of this bill was to add some punctuation to statute to clear up some ambiguity as to what types of energy would qualify as renewable energy sources. Our friends on the other side of the wall, the grammarians in their group, decided to make some further changes to the language, and those changes improved the statute, so we ask you to concur.
Motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1535. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bills with amendment, in passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1733, relative to the reconciliation of default electric service rates.
Representative Vose moves to concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, House Bill 1733 originally made some substantial changes to statute with regard to the payment of under and over collection charges to default service customers. When the bill reached the Senate, we realized in ST&E that it needed some additional changes. So we asked the Senate to make those changes, which they did in their amendment. Now the bill strictly forbids utilities from collecting under collection fees from non-default service customers. This is what the House originally intended, and so we ask you to concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1733. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1742, relative to customer generators inadvertently enrolled in a municipal or county aggregation program.
Representative Vose moves we concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the bill that we passed, there was a mention of a 4-month period and a 3-month period. And the Senate thought that that was confusing. So the amendment that they made changed both mentions to 4 months, which is perfectly fine, and we ask you to concur.
The motion before us is to concur in House Bill 1742. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate concurs with the House in the passage of the following entitled bill with amendment, in the passage of which amendment the Senate asks the concurrence of the House. House Bill 1758, relative to school bus drivers' certificates.
Representative Walsh moves to concur and is recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The underlying bill would have allowed the Department of Motor Vehicles to issue a school bus driving certificate from anybody approved in Vermont, so long as they meet our requirements. The Senate amendment simply expands that to all states. We ask that you concur.
The motion before us is to concur and send it on House Bill 1758. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion passes, and the chair recognizes the clerk. All done. The House will now attend to the consent calendar.
Mr. Speaker, there are no bills to be removed from the consent calendar.
Representative Osborne moves a consent calendar with the relevant amendments as printed in today's House record be adopted. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the consent calendar is adopted. The House will now attend to the regular calendar. Committee on Education Funding, to which was referred Senate Bill 513FN, an act requiring schools to engage an owner's project manager for construction of school building aid projects at the time of application. Having considered the same, report the same with the following amendment. Recommendation that the bill ought to pass with amendment. Representative Rick Ladd for the committee. The amendment is 1586H, printed in House Record 18, page 29. Are you ready for the question on the amendment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. The motion before us now is ought to pass with amendment. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted.
On this one, Mr. Speaker, we have a majority amendment and then a minority. There's no debate on the majority amendment. There is on the minority.
Majority of the Committee on Education Funding, to which was referred Senate Bill 531FN, an act establishing a task force to study the feasibility of the creation of cosmetology-related programming in Coos County. Having considered the same, report the same with the following amendment, and the recommendation of the bill ought to pass with amendment. Representative Daniel Popovici Mueller for the majority of the committee. Minority of the committee, having considered the same, being unable to agree with the majority, report with the following amendment, the recommendation that the bill ought to pass with amendment. Senator David Bluno for the minority of the committee. The majority committee amendment is 1704H, printed in House Record 18, pages 30 and 31. Are you ready for the question on the amendment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the majority of the amendment is adopted. Bills on second reading open to further amendment. The minority amendment is 1762H, and the chair recognizes Representative Luno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The intent of this bill is good. The intent is to create a task force to study whether a cosmetology program should be offered at White Mountain Community College in Berlin. The intent is also to collect data about student food service debt. Both these intents are good, but the implementation of both of these points needs work. Every community college in New Hampshire, including White Mountain Community College in Berlin, has an advisory board. In fact, state law empowers the Community College System Board of Trustees to appoint advisory boards to advise on strategic directions. These boards bridge the gap between academic programs and industry requirements, ensuring curricula match current workforce needs. The members of these advisory boards are business leaders who represent community needs. The state legislature does not need to create a task force to study whether a cosmetology program should be offered in Berlin. This amendment eliminates the task force and leaves what to teach and where to teach it up to the community college advisory boards. And the provision to collect data about student food service debt fails to include all food service purchases. This amendment fixes that too. The amendment is consistent with the bill's intent and improves the bill. Please support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Popovici Mueller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise to speak in opposition to this amendment, and there are a few reasons why. First, this is really about that the amendment we had to have a non-germane hearing for in regards to the school debt. It is a very important policy matter which has come to the floor often, and we keep arguing about it, but we have no data to tell us how much it is. So how can we make decisions without it? But if we want our non-germane amendment that became the majority amendment to prevail, we cannot start hacking away at a bill that our colleagues from across the wall have supported very broadly, and by the way, which has 7 sponsors, 4 from one party and 3 from the other. If we need our legislative priority, which is this data on the school debt, to pass, well, we have to let our colleagues from across the wall have parts of the bill they really care about so we can pass the bill as amended. I urge you all to please reject this minority amendment, let the majority amendment be, and send the bill to the Senate that they can concur with, which achieves the goals of both our colleagues and ourselves. Thank you.
The division has been requested. Members, take your seats. This will be a division vote on the amendment. motion before us is the Minority Amendment 1762H. This is a division vote. Chair recognizes Representative Damon for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that the existing community college advisory boards and administration are fully capable to evaluate the potential and need for new programs, if I know that this task force is an unnecessary legislative overreach, and if I further know that the Department of Education recognizes the need to collect more complete meal debt data, would I now press the green button to pass this amendment?
Chair recognizes Representative Ladd for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. If I know White Mountains Community College and its academic centers located in Littleton and North Conway do not currently offer an active cosmetology degree or certification program in the North Country, and if I know the proposed task force will research cosmetology program sustainability, assess program facility needs, investigate dual and concurrent enrollment credit for high school students, and complete the study by September 1, 2027. And lastly, and importantly, if I know this legislation is necessary as it directs the Department of Education to work with the task force and to provide Carl Perkins career and technical education funding support for associated task force efforts if it's needed, would I then press the red button and reject the minority amendment? Thank you.
The motion before us is the Minority Amendment 1762H. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, you'll press the red button, the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. All members present had an opportunity to vote. Chair recognizes a vote. 152 yeas, 188 nays. The motion fails. The motion before us now is ought to pass as amended. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. Division has been requested. Members, take your seats. This will be a clarification vote. Nobody in, nobody out. This is a clarification vote on the motion of ought to pass on Senate Bill 531. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. The voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative DeLemus. Representative Priest.
All members present had an opportunity to vote. Also attend the state of the vote. 185 voting yea, 156 voting nay. The motion passes. The Committee on Environment and Agriculture, to which was referred Senate Bill 442, an act relative to pet transfers. Having considered the same, report the same with a recommendation bill ought to pass. Senator Peter Bixby for the committee. Representative Bixby has a floor amendment 1794H. It is in your seat pockets and is recognized to speak to his motion amendment.
So the bill corrects or updates some language having to do with pet transfers. And when I was preparing the committee report, I realized there was one instance that the bill had not caught. So the floor amendment corrects that one additional instance. This is really a clerical update to our statutes. So please vote yes.
The motion before us is Bixby Floor Amendment 1794H. Are you ready for the question on the amendment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the floor amendment is adopted. The motion before us now is ought to pass as amended. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. Majority of the Committee on Executive Departments and Administration, to which was referred Senate Bill 669FN, Act relative to on-premise licenses for licensed barbershops and saloons. Consider the same, report the same with the recommendation that the bill be referred for interim study. Representative Geraldine Slotchie for the majority of the committee. The chair recognizes Representative DeVries. Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, I want to name what is happening here today because it deserves to be said plainly. The Executive Department's and Administration majority cites regulatory complexity, enforcement feasibility, the need for further stakeholder input. These are serious-sounding reasons for interim study, but I would ask my colleagues to consider who benefits from delay and who does that delay cost. The barbers and stylists who want this bill, they don't have a lobbying budget like the restaurant and brewer associations do. They have scissors, and they have a chair, and they have a small business that they are trying to keep alive. And when the vote on EDA is 13-3 to send this to interim study, I think we should ask ourselves honestly, are we protecting the public or are we protecting businesses who can afford lobbyists? Because here's the situation that we have created. The legislature last session told these small business owners, you in fact may offer your clients a drink. You just cannot charge for it. We already allow barbershops and salons to serve one drink to one customer per appointment. So let that sink in a minute. The state of New Hampshire has decided already that licensed, professionally trained, state-certified salon owners are permitted to absorb the cost of a beer or a glass of wine or a cocktail out of their own pockets. But the moment that they try to recoup that cost, they are in violation of the law. Generosity is legal, but commerce is not. We have drawn a line in exactly the wrong place, and small business owners are paying for it out of their margins every day that we delay. The majority said that we need to study the complexity of distinguishing a sale from a service without a charge. Mr. Speaker, every cash register in New Hampshire makes that distinction every single day. Every restaurant, every convenience store, every brewery. This is not a novel enforcement challenge, it is a price tag. The majority says that we need to evaluate the administrative burden of 2 licensing tiers. But we already have more than 38 license types in RSA 178. We have licenses for, without food requirements, cigar bars, alpine slides, rail cars, social clubs, and tennis clubs. Those didn't require years of interim study. The complexity of New Hampshire's liquor licensing system is not a reason to deny this license. It is an argument for simplifying the whole system, which is a different bill for a different day. We should not make barbers and stylists wait for that day to arrive. The concerns raised in testimony, I acknowledge, were real, and the committee addressed them. The parity objection from the Brewers Association, eDNA raised the Tier 2 fee from $480 to $720. The enforcement concerns, the bill requires management training, record keeping, and commission inspections. And here's the accountability piece that no restaurant license currently carries. If a barber or a stylist under this bill violates the terms of this license, they don't just lose their liquor license, they also lose their professional cosmetology or barbering license, the credential that their livelihood depends upon. That is not weak oversight. That is stronger accountability than most of the 38 license types that are already on the books. So the work has been done. The Senate passed this bipartisan bill. Every vote was a yay. People on both sides of the aisle in agreement. The Liquor Commission, the people who actually enforce these laws, they took no position against it. At what point is enough enough? At what point does "we need more time" become the answer to a question we just don't want to answer? I want to speak to my colleagues who advocate, hopefully currently, trusting small businesses, who advocate getting government out of the way of people who are trying to make a living, who believe in the principle that New Hampshire does not pick winners and losers in the marketplace. Here's the test. Not in a campaign speech, not on a walk card, right here, right now. Because what interim study says to every barber and every stylist in this state is this: the restaurants had concerns, so you have to wait. The breweries had concerns, so you have to wait. And while you wait, you keep on giving that drink away for free. You keep eating that cost. You keep running your business with one hand tied behind your back because the people with more political power than you just aren't ready yet. Don't let the complexity of a system we built become the excuse for leaving small businesses behind. The safeguards are there. The amendment addressed the concerns. The bill is ready. Please vote no on interim study so we can offer a better motion. And Mr. Speaker, I respectfully request a roll call vote.
Chair recognizes Representative Slotty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of an interim study for this bill, and I find myself in an odd position of being wildly in agreement with the representative who just spoke, and I think she did a fantastic job of describing the problem, and I think it speaks to the need for an interim study on this bill because the current situation in the liquor law, with the liquor laws in New Hampshire is one where we have a patchwork of except for whens, and we have the Liquor Commission running around judging how many hot dogs someone's selling versus how many beers they're selling, when in reality the purpose and role of government is to be the umpire and say, you know, if you have bad behavior, you should cut it out. If you're behaving well, you can keep on going. So what we would ask is that you give us this opportunity to further study this issue so that we can come up with a more comprehensive solution for future legislation. Thank you.
Representative DeVries has requested a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is sufficiently seconded. This will be a roll call vote. Members, take your seats. The motion before us is interim study. This is a roll call vote. Chair recognizes Representative Bailey for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I knew that New Hampshire citizens labored under Prohibition for 80 years, and if I knew that New Hampshire citizens labored further under a state liquor monopoly for another 90 years, if I knew that we are presented now as New Hampshire state representatives with a choice of either continuing under that parasitic monopoly for still more lifetimes, or seeking instead a narrowly tailored measure of greater freedom, would I then push the red button in order to begin claiming that freedom?
The motion, House will be in order. Chair recognizes Representative Leon for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that right now my hairstylist could offer me a glass of wine with my haircut, and they did over a significant amount of time, and if I know that with this bill there would be a $720 charge as well as the cost of alcohol, this would bring in a perverse incentive where you want to sell more alcohol to your clients instead of simply offering them a free drink along with a service. Would I now know that this is something we want to study instead of making sure that somebody's going to build in some higher cost to charging for drinks instead of just simply offering them to clients as a free service? Would I then support the interim study so that we can look at this as an entire process and make sure that we're treating liquor laws in a consistent way? Mr. Speaker, if I know that I just lost everybody on what I just said, and if I know that charging $720 plus the cost of alcohol just so your barber can charge you for your drink doesn't make sense. They should be able to keep giving them for free, and you should let our committee look at this and look at this process through an interim study. Would I then press the green button?
The motion before us is interim study on Senate Bill 669. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. If all members present had an opportunity to vote, House will attend to state of the vote. 173 voting yea, 171 voting nay. The motion passes. Majority of the Committee on Finance, two issues referred Senate Bill 481 FNA. The House will be in order. It is very, very noisy. Members have a right to understand and hear what is going on. An act relative to the sale of the Sununu Youth Services Center property. Having considered the same, report the same with the following amendment. Recommendation that the bill ought to pass with amendment. Senator Brian Seaworth from the majority of the committee. Minority of the committee, having considered the same, being unable to agree with the majority, report with the following amendment. Recommendation the bill ought to pass with amendment. Representative David Priest for the minority of the committee. Majority Committee amendment is 1503H, printed in House Record 18, pages 26 and 27. Chair recognizes Representative Priest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and members of the House, I rise to the opposition of ASB 481 with the majority amendment 2026-1503H. The amendment takes the proceeds from the sale of the Sununu Youth Services Center property and sends them directly into the general fund. That may be legally permissible, but Mr. Speaker, it is profoundly wrong. The state of New Hampshire has already acknowledged the responsibility for decades of horrific abuse at the Youth Development Center. We know victims were harmed. We know claims remained unresolved, and we know that the fiscal liability facing the state is enormous. So the question before us is simple. When the state sells the very property tied to the abuse, where should that money go? Should it go toward helping to meet our moral and legal obligations to the victims? Or should it disappear into the general fund to be spent on unrelated government operations? The minority believes that the answer should be obvious. This is not about accounting, it's about accountability. The majority amendment sends a terrible message to survivors that when the state finally liquidates this property, the first priority is not justice, not restitution, not responsibility, but balancing budgets and funding unrelated expenditures. That is backward. If the state incurs a liability through its own misconduct, that the state should dictate available assets toward addressing that liability. That is fiscally responsible. That is morally responsible. And frankly, that is what the public expects from us. Members, the general fund will always have demands. There will always be another program, another budget line, another fiscal pressure. But this situation is unique. We are talking about one of the darkest chapters of New Hampshire's history, a scandal that destroyed lives, shattered families, and permanently damaged public trust in government. We cannot undo what has happened, but we can decide whether this body responds with integrity, or do we match those words with action? The majority amendment chooses convenience over accountability. It treats those proceeds as ordinary revenue when they are nothing, but they are anything but ordinary. Members, survivors have waited for decades for justice. Many endured silence, intimidation, shame, and trauma while the state failed them again and again. At the very least, the proceeds from this department should be directed toward resolving the obligations created by that failure, not diverted elsewhere, not absorbed into the general fund, and that disconnected from the very harm that created this moment in the first place. For those reasons, I urge the House to reject the majority amendment 2026 1503H and opposed SB 481 as amended. And Mr. Chairman, I ask for a division of the House. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Seaworth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the bill before us, the amendment before us, is a lot simpler than it was made out to be. The bill itself is a housekeeping bill. It simply cleans up some duplicative and conflicting language that is currently in HB 2. The conflict is what we do with the money when this sale proceeds. It does not create new revenue. It does not redirect spending. If payments need to be made to the claimants, those will be funded one way or another. The question is really, where do we park the money in the interim, in between receiving it and spending it? And the answer really depends. It depends on the order that things happen. And we don't know. We don't know when this sale might take place. We don't know how much money we'll receive from it. We don't know how many claims that we'll have to pay and how much. And we don't know the order that's coming in. So given all the possible options, it makes sense to keep the future decision about what we might do with the money a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, open to respond to the situation at hand. And for that reason, I ask you to please vote in favor of the majority amendment. Thank you.
Does the member yield to questions?
I do.
Member yields. May inquire.
Thank you, Representative. It was a pleasure serving with you on Division 3. As I recall, and I'd ask you to clarify for me, didn't Division 3 have a robust discussion on what we should do with the financial assets that may come out of the Sununu Center sale? And didn't we decide that we needed to put the money into the general fund in order to cover a deficit that would have remained? And if that's the case, isn't it the responsible thing to meet our obligations under the budget that we passed so that we are balance neutral?
Thank you for the question. Yes, that is accurate. And if you can imagine the situation with the timing, where the first thing that happens is that we realize that there isn't enough money in the settlement fund and we have to find the money to put it there. So what do? We might need to cancel contracts. We might need to reduce staff. We might need to take away services from our constituents who need them. Then the money comes in from the sale. So what do? Do we add it to the fund that we've already put enough money in for what we know we need to spend? Or do we use it to make up the costs that we've incurred to cover it? Again, it depends on exactly on the timing, what order things come in, but there are situations that, yes, we discussed on Division 3 that it can be important to deal with the costs that we have at hand rather than allocate that money years in advance.
Representative Seaworth, as we requested a division, this will be a division vote on the amendment. Members, take your seats. The motion before us is Amendment 1503H. This is a division vote. The chair recognizes Representative Wallner for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that it is only right that the proceeds of the sale of the Sununu Youth Services Center go to to settle claims of the victims who were abused at the facility during their confinement in the state custody, and if I know that if the proceeds of the sale go into the general fund, budget writers will be under pressure to use the funds to meet other pressing state needs. And if I know that the state of New Hampshire has an obligation to fund the Victim Settlement Fund, would I now vote no to placing the proceeds from the sale of the Sununu Youth Services Center in the general fund by pressing the red button?
Chair recognizes Representative Weiler for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that putting an amount in the budget expected from the sale of a property almost never works, and if I further know that budgets need a definite figure at a definite time, and this proposal does not deliver anything definite, so would I then push the green button so that we do not create a budget problem? Thank you.
The motion before us is Amendment 1503H. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Plant.
If all members present had an opportunity to vote, House will tend to stay to the vote. 186 voting yea, 158 voting nay. The motion passes. The motion before us now is ought to pass as amended. A division has been requested. Members, take your seats. This will be a division vote. Representative Germano has requested a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? So be a roll call vote. The motion before us is a motion of order pass as amended. This is going to be a roll call vote. Chair recognizes Representative Wallner for a parliamentary inquiry. Representative Wallner is waving off. Representative Weiler is waving off. Okay, the motion before us is order pass as amended on Senate Bill 481. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Ward.
If all members present had an opportunity to vote, House will tend to stay to the vote. 186 voting yea, 157 voting nay. The committee report is adopted. Committee on Finance, to which was referred Senate Bill 592 FN, an act enabling regional conservation and energy resource planning for habitat strongholds and wildlife corridors, and creating a commission to study transferring ownership of the Winnipesaukee River Basin Program to an alternate authority. Consider the same, report the same with a recommendation the bill ought to pass. Senator Carol McGuire for the committee. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and committee report is adopted. For what reason does the member rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker,
State your motion.
I move that the debate on SB 481 be printed in the permanent journal.
Without objection. Majority of the Committee on Finance, to which was referred Senate Bill 603 FN, Act relative to funding of the SNAP program by the Department of Health and Human Services. When considered the same, report the same with the following resolution. Resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Senator Samuel Farrington for the majority of the committee. Chair recognizes Representative Wheeler.
Went a little faster than I expected, but that's okie dokie.
This ain't the amendment.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I remember very clearly walking in the very dark basement of the Unitarian Congregational Church in Peterborough, where the Peterborough Food Bank was. And those were on dark, sort of cloudy days. I remember my mom wasn't exactly happy about the fact that we were there. It was on days where we had to grab rice and beans because we couldn't necessarily afford them. But when you're a kid, all you care about is the candy. I just wanted the dots. But dots are quite disgusting, and so I wasn't exactly happy about the fact that that was the only candy available, but that's what your mindset is on when you're a kid. I was reminded of that when I came and read the calendar this last week on this piece of legislation and got the emails from my constituents who work at the nonprofits such as 68 Hours of Hunger and 68 Hours of Hunger and the Peterborough Food Bank and others that service hundreds of families in my region. We are in a town of 7,000 people. And last year, 238 of those families were assisted by End 68 Hours of Hunger, 150 of them by the Peterborough Food Bank. And so, Mr. Speaker, I just very briefly, I think as brief as I ever will in this House of Representatives, wanted to relay both how disgusting dots were and the fact that kids deserve choices, but also, exactly, Smarties, Mr. Chairman, that's 100% true, but also the fact that these state dollars do have an impact. It's not all fraud. I think in this era of government and political culture, we hear a lot of fraud stories, and there is a lot of fraud in government. But there are programs, such as SNAP, which provide dollars to programs such as End 68 Hours of Hunger or the Peterborough Food Bank, that allow people such as my family, when we couldn't afford rice and beans, to grab rice and beans. And no matter how disgusting dots are, Mr. Speaker, we were able to eat that night. So thank you very much. I hope you overturn the ITL on this piece of legislation. Join our friends on the other side of the wall in passing this legislation onto the governor's desk and make sure that the money going to these programs continues to go to them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Stringham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak against the ITL motion. As the previous speaker said, this bill relates to the very popular Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, which provides food for hungry, hardworking Granite Staters. A vote for the ITL motion is a vote against the SNAP program. It's as simple as that. SB 603 was passed unanimously by the Senate on a bipartisan basis, and as written, requires no appropriation. SB 603 is needed to support the SNAP program because of House Resolution 1. H.R. 1, which is also known as the Big Beautiful Bill, passed on July 4th of last year, 3 days after New Hampshire's biennium budget went into effect. One provision of H.R. 1 was to increase the percentage of SNAP program administrative costs that the state is responsible for from 50% to 75% beginning on October 1st of this year. So that means for the last 9 months of this biennium, the state now picks up 50% of the cost, or 75% of the cost instead of 50. This unexpected and unforeseen change results in an additional expenditure of $4.4 million in state funds due to the downshifting of administrative burden from the federal government to the state. The SNAP program is valuable for those in need and for New Hampshire's businesses. About 75,000 Granite Staters receive $154 million in nutritional benefits provided through personal electronic benefit transfer cards, or EBT cards, that can be used in over 1,000 businesses, including small businesses in the state. The $154 million is 100% funded by the federal government. New Hampshire pays only a share of the administrative costs, which I said is unexpectedly changing. But there's another important element of H.R. 1 that makes this bill important, and that is that it requires that the administrative error rate be below 6%. The error rate does not involve anyone receiving benefits. It shouldn't. It's just about having the forms that are needed to be filled out be perfectly, no typos or anything. If the rate goes above 6%, the state becomes responsible for a portion of the SNAP benefits in the future, potentially increasing the state's budget by $20 million or more. As written, this bill, we would signal that we support this program and direct the department to find funds in other parts of the budget. And that's not easy to do. We're dealing in this department with a $51 million back of the budget that they're struggling with. They have a hiring freeze right now. They don't have as many people to administer this program as in the budget. An ITL motion would recklessly eliminate substantial administrative management and oversight for this valuable program, increasing the risk for future financial penalties. So please vote red on the motion of ITL so we can support hungry, hardworking Granite Staters and those businesses that support them so that additional motions can be made. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Why you've changed in a minute.
Representative Farrington is recognized to speak for the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill does not relate to junk food or benefits, or it doesn't even change how New Hampshire fundamentally administers SNAP. This bill, as was mentioned previously, relates to a deficit in federal funding. And if you've read the text of this bill, the language permits the Department of Health and Human Services to transfer funds within and among accounting units. And in Finance Division 3, we heard testimony from the department that they're already doing this. So this bill is redundant, it's not necessary, and when speaking to the prime sponsor of the bill, he was not even aware of this because that was not mentioned in the Senate testimony hearing. So this bill is redundant, the department is already doing this practice, and this will have no meaningful change on SNAP policy in New Hampshire. Please support the committee recommendation.
Representative Chelerski requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is sufficiently seconded. This will be a roll call vote. Members, take your seats. The question is the Majority Committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 603. Representative Chelerski is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that the state budget signed in June was balanced with $4.4 million expected in federal funds for the SNAP program, but H.R. 1 changed aspects of SNAP funding and the department now has to backfill that $4.4 million on top of the $51 million back of the budget cut they already have. And if I know that properly funding administrative costs will undoubtedly, not properly funding administrative costs will undoubtedly result in an increased error rate where we will face significant penalties, putting us even further in the hole. And if I know that SNAP brings $154 million to New Hampshire to be spent at local businesses and corner markets and is an economic lifeline, both for those who can access nutritious food and for the businesses that accept SNAP. Would I then support Granite Staters and our local businesses by pressing the red button to overturn the ITL so we can ensure this important program can continue seamlessly? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Weiler is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that the money in this bill has no effect on the distribution of the $154 million that is going in supplemental nutrition assistance programs, it only affects how much the agency pays. In this case, they think another $4 million in administrative costs. And they say that they can find that $4 million cost in their $2 billion budget and suggest we don't need this bill. Please press the green button for inexpedient to legislate.
The question is a majority committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 603. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 186 in the affirmative, 158 in the negative. The committee report's adopted. For what reason does the member rise? The majority of the Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which referred Senate Bill 421, an act relative to the membership and duties of the Trauma Medical Review Committee and establishing a study committee to review the membership and duties of other boards and an appointment related to emergency medical services. Having considered the same report, the same with the following resolution, resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Lisa Mazer for the majority of the committee. The minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Representative Gary Woods from the minority of the committee. Representative Dry is recognized to speak against the committee report. Wait, for what reason does a member rise?
To make a motion
State your motion, please.
to table SB 421.
Representative Mazer moves that Senate Bill 421 be laid on the table. And a division's been requested. This will be a division vote. Members, take your seats. Questions whether to lay Senate Bill 421 on the table. Representative Mazer is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that existing oversight boards already handle these duties, so this bill doesn't fix a gap in our current trauma system, and if I know that expanding the committee would dilute expertise and slow decisions rather than improve outcomes. And finally, if I know we don't need another study committee to review work existing boards are already tasked with doing, would I then press the green button to lay SB 421 on the table? Thank you.
Representative Weber is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that Senate Bill 21 simply revises the membership of a commission so that we bring the membership into alignment with current practices as the practice is evolving and studies further changes that are necessary and requested by people in the industry, and I want a chance to discuss and vote on that, would I vote no on the tabling motion? Thank you.
The question is whether to lay Senate Bill 421 on the table. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. all members present had an opportunity to vote, the House will attend to the state of the vote. 164 in the affirmative, 178 in negative. Motion fails. Now Representative Dry is recognized to speak against the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Trauma Medical Review Committee membership that's at issue here today was last updated in 1999. Back in 1999, when we responded to trauma calls, we usually found mangled cars, mangled bodies, and generally dealt with prolonged extrication using the jaws of life and multiple personnel. Back in 1999, DART medical helicopter was only 5 years old. Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center had only been a level 1 trauma center for 3 years. And the law that required driver airbags on all new passenger cars had only been in effect for 1 year. In 2026, when we respond to these kind of calls, many times the car has taken the brunt of the trauma. The car engine drops instead of landing in the patient's lap, and the airbags, plural, driver side, passenger side, curtain, and knee airbags all protect the patient. Often, our victim is not in the car, but out of the car and has already posted photos online on Facebook and Instagram. That doesn't mean that there isn't trauma. Just read the news every day. Trauma is the leading cause of death ages 1 to 44. But things have changed since 1999. We now have level 1, 2, 3, and 4 trauma hospitals in the state. We have 2 medical helicopter programs, and we know a lot more about injury prevention. The Trauma Medical Review Committee should reflect that. That's why this bill asks for representation from all 4 levels of hospitals, because these hospitals all see trauma. It also adds an injury prevention coordinator, a trauma survivor, a physician or designee from a rehab center that deals with trauma, and a representative from the Office of Highway Safety. And that's especially important because motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of trauma. Some concern was expressed that clinical expertise on the board could be diminished with these changes. First, the Commissioner of Safety is the person who appoints people to that commission, and he is aware of the need for physician representation. Second, desire and expertise are important to be a member, but to serve on a committee also requires availability and flexibility, something that surgeons and emergency room physicians may be hard-pressed to provide. The bill has a brief second part that establishes a committee to do the same review and updating process to 2 other committees dealing with emergency medical services and trauma services. These are all good changes that reflect the changes that we've seen in trauma care since 1999. So I respectfully ask you to join me in voting no to the ITL motion so that we can bring the Trauma Medical Review Committee into the 21st century. Thank you.
Representative Woods is recognized to speak against the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking in strong support as well for Senate Bill 421 in hopes that I can show you that the best avenue to improve emergency services in New Hampshire is to defeat the recommendation of ITL. The intent of this bill is to ensure appropriate changes are made in the management of emergency services and streamline what is currently a multitude of oversight activities. Let me explain. Currently, there are 3 entities charged with oversight of New Hampshire's emergency services. First, Emergency Medical Trauma Services Coordinating Board. Second, Emergency Medical Services Medical Control Board. Third, Trauma Medical Review Committee. If this sounds duplicative and overwhelming, You're right. It is. SB 421 makes much needed changes regarding the participants on one of the entities to better reflect how emergency services are currently delivered. SB 421 also adds the requirement of an annual report to the governor summarizing recommendations aimed at improving the delivery of emergency services statewide. Lastly, establishes a small committee, 1 senator and 2 reps, to review the functioning of these 3 overlapping entities. I would agree, this appears a tall order for a small committee, but I submit that it is a great vehicle to direct where further study and intervention might be indicated to help modernize guidelines aimed at avoiding duplicity, yet expanding the scope of services to ensure all of New Hampshire residents have timely access to appropriate emergency care. Indeed, such a review is timely in view of the rapid influx of private equity into this arena, risking profits taking precedence over patient welfare. Please press the red button and defeat the ITL so a better motion can be made, and I request a division vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Miz is recognized to speak for the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill adds bureaucracy without improving patient care. It expands the Trauma Review Committee in a way that risks diluting clinical expertise and making the body more cumbersome. We already have the right stakeholders at the table. This change prioritizes size over effectiveness. The new reporting requirement to the governor is redundant. Our existing EMS and public health systems already collect and share this data. This is more paperwork, not better outcomes. Lastly, the bill creates yet another legislative study committee to review boards that already exist and are specifically tasked with this work. That's duplicative and unnecessary. We should be focused on supporting providers and improving care, not adding layers of administration. For these reasons, I urge an ITL motion on SB 421. Plus, press the green button.
Questions of Majority Committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 421. You ready for the question? There it is. Division's been requested. Members, take your seats. Questions of Majority Committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 421, and Representative Woods is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know there are currently 3 overlapping medical trauma commissions, which begs redundancy and inefficiency of oversight, and if I know it is our legislative responsibility not just to recognize such deficiency, but to take appropriate corrective action. And lastly, if I know Senate Bill 421 will indeed properly address this issue and to responsibly provide the highest quality emergency services to the citizens of New Hampshire in an efficient manner, would I then press the red button so another motion can be made? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Mays is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that existing oversight boards already handle these duties, so this bill does not fix a gap in our current trauma system, and if I know that expanding the committee would dilute expertise and slow decisions rather than improve outcomes. And finally, if I know we don't need another study committee to review work existing boards are already tasked with doing, would I please press the green button to ITLSB 421? Thank you.
Questions? The majority committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 421. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 158 in the affirmative, 183 in the negative. The motion fails. Representative Woods moves ought to pass. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. What? Aye. Somebody asked for another division, so we're going to do that. I don't like it either, but that's how it is. This will be a division vote. They can commit. So we're already in the middle of like 2 votes because we shouldn't even be doing the division at this point. So no, we cannot change to a roll call in the middle of the process. Oh, you want to withdraw it? Okay. Bless your heart. Okay. Never mind. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. The motion's adopted, and thank you. The majority of the Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which was referred Senate Bill 422, an act relative to membership of the Governor's Commission on Addiction Treatment and Prevention. Having considered the same report, the same with the following resolution, resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Matt Drew for the majority of the committee. The minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Representative Lucy Weber for the minority of the committee. Representative Weber is recognized to speak against the committee report. Hold up.
It was recognized to speak.
I recognize the member to speak. Go on ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a simple bill about adding 2 members to the existing Governor's Commission on Addiction Treatment and Prevention. I'm here to tell you why the majority got this wrong and why we ought to pass this bill. The report says the governor did not ask for these changes to the Governor's Commission on Addiction Treatment and Prevention, so this change is not necessary. We heard members say it was not the House's business to make the changes. However, the Governor's Commission was established to deal with substance abuse, addiction, and treatment, alcohol and drugs. Last year, this House chose to add gaming to the addictions that this commission would work on. The House made that change, and we were told in committee that the commission as it stands has no one on it who understands gaming addiction because it was constituted to deal with substance abuse, not gambling. So what the bill does is it adds one member to the commission who is an expert in the treatment of gaming addiction, and it adds a second member to the commission who is a person with lived experience with a gambling addiction and in recovery. So there is no reason to vote this down that I can see. I would urge the House to vote no on the ITL so a better motion can be made. So please press the red button. Thank you.
Representative Drew is recognized to speak for the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 422 is the continuation of an attempt to expand the charter of the Governor's Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery. Last year, some language was slipped into HB 2 from across the wall that added problem gambling to the list of things that the Commission covers and renamed the Commission to Addiction, Treatment, and Prevention. The Governor did not ask for this, as she did not ask for SB 422. Expanding the Commission this way dilutes their mission and their effectiveness by adding substantially different tasks that have nothing to do with the purview of most of the Commission's members. Thus, I urge you to press the green button and support the committee recommendation of ITL. Thank you.
A division has been requested. Members take your seats. Questions of Majority Committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 422. Representative Weber is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that this House has already voted to expand the duties of the Commission to include prevention and treatment of gambling addiction, and if I know that there is no one on the Commission now who has expertise in the treatment and prevention of gambling addiction, would I now press the red button to defeat the ITL so that we can vote to put two people with knowledge on the committee? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Wayne McDonald is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that this well-intentioned bill expands the membership of the Governor's Commission on Addiction, Treatment, and Prevention, and Mr. Speaker, if I further know that simply adding more members to any study committee, council, or commission, in this case going from 7 members to 9 members, does not make them more effective and can even hamper their ability to meet and to act by increasing the quorum requirement, then, Mr. Speaker, would I press the green button and support the majority committee recommendation of inexpedient to legislate? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question is majority committee report of inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 422. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 183 in the affirmative, 156 in the negative. The report's adopted. For what reason does the member rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to place the debate from SB 603 in the permanent journal.
Without objection, so ordered. The Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which was referred Senate Bill 454 FN, an act requiring the Department of Health and Human Services to update existing relevant public health outreach programs by incorporating information to aid public understanding and awareness of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. Having considered the same, report the same with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Questions on the majority committee report of ought to pass. You ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and the committee report's adopted. The majority of the Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which is referred Senate Bill 501, an act relative to authorization of seclusion or restraint during a personal safety emergency by a physician, physician associate, or advanced practice registered nurse. Having considered the same, report the same with the following resolution. Resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Matt Drew for the majority of the committee. The minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Representative Tim Hartnett for the minority of the committee. For what reason does a member rise?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I move to lay SB 501 on the table.
Representative Wayne McDonald moves that Senate Bill 501 be laid on the table. Division. And a division's been requested. Members, take your seats.
Roll call, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Weber requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is. This will be a roll call vote. Question is whether to lay Senate Bill 501 on the table. Representative Wayne McDonald is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that it's important to balance medical treatment with patients' rights, and Mr. Speaker, if I know that current law already permits emergency restraint of dangerous patients to protect them, other patients, and certainly the healthcare workers seeking to treat them, then, Mr. Speaker, would I press the green button and support and move to and vote to lay the, SB 501 on the table? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Weber is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that only a physician is allowed to authorize seclusion or restraint, and that a physician associate or advanced practice RN can authorize that in an emergency only for 15 minutes, and if the countersignature of a physician cannot be obtained, the patient must be returned to whatever emergency situation had already been created. And if I know that these certifications are well within the practice of APRNs and nurse associates, and that they are often the ones doing the treating and in danger. And finally, if I know that all uses of restraint and seclusion are reviewed very carefully afterwards to ensure compliance with guidelines and civil rights, but that we owe our providers a duty of safety for them as well, would I now vote no on the motion to table. Thank you.
Questions whether to lay Senate Bill 501 on the table. It's a roll call vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Cloutier?
Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 188 in the affirmative, 154 in the negative. Senate Bill 501 is laid on the table. Which one?
I was here first. Are you on the next bill? Yes. Then step away.
For what reason does a member rise?
I rise to make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
Having voted on the prevailing side of Senate Bill 669, I request the House reconsider its vote.
Oh, that's in order. The motion is to reconsider the vote on House Bill 669. Okey doke. This will be a division vote to reconsider the vote on Senate Bill 669. The question is whether to reconsider the vote on Senate Bill 669. Representative DeVries is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, if I knew that some people, when they cast their vote for Senate Bill 669, were confused about the fact that currently barbershops and salon owners are allowed to give away one drink, and that was not the premise, between that and the ability to sell one drink, would I press the green button and yes, so that they can reconsider their votes?
Representative Leon is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that the current system is where a barber or a hairdresser can give away a drink, and if I know that this effort is just simply to carve out a very narrow exemption, would I stay with what we already did and vote no on reconsideration?
The question is whether to reconsider the vote on Senate Bill 669. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 147 in the affirmative, 196. Motion fails. The majority of the Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which is referred Senate Bill 520, an act relative to breast surgeries for minors. Having considered the same, report the same with the following resolution. Resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Lisa Mazer for the majority of the committee. The minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Representative Jessica LaMontagne for the minority of the committee. For what reason does the member rise?
To make a motion
State your motion.
to lay SB 520 on the table.
Representative Mazer moves that Senate Bill 520 be laid on the table. This will be a division vote. Members, take your seats.
Should I roll call this? Roll call.
Representative Mazer requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is. This will be a roll call vote now. And please stop changing the vote in the middle of the process, both sides. Question is whether to lay Senate Bill 520 on the table. Representative Mazer is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that HB 712 that was signed by the governor last year already limits breast surgeries on minors to genuine medical necessity, including symptomatic macromastia for pain, posture, and discomfort. And if I know the specific and dangerous language in this bill, but not limited to, would open the floodgates to irreversible breast surgeries on minors for virtually any reason at the election of the minor. And finally, if I know this bill would create a dangerous blank check that weakens HB 712's important medical standards and protections for children, would I please press the green button to place SB 520 on the table? Thank you.
Representative LaMontagne is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I knew that this bill improves upon the legislation that we passed last year, and if I know that we allow for other elective surgeries for minors, oral surgery in preparation for orthodontia, or plastic surgery that likewise has no medical reason but is done for other emotional or mental health reasons, and if I know that the legislature should not be telling doctors how to practice medicine, and this bill gives them appropriate discretion and nuanced decision-making, would I now press the red button to oppose this motion so we may have a full debate on this bill?
The question is whether to lay Senate Bill 520 on the table. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 193 in the affirmative, 150 in the negative. Senate Bill 520 is laid on the table. Chair recognizes the clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Enrolled Bills has examined and found correctly enrolled the following entitled Senate Bills. Senate Bill 593, enabling the use of solid waste management funds by solid waste management districts.
the majority of the Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which is referred Senate Bill 615 FN. An act establishing a commission to study the use and regulation of SNAP in New Hampshire, having considered the same, report the same with the following resolution: resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Lisa Mazer for the majority of the committee. The minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the recommendation that the bill ought to pass. Representative Trinidad Tellez for the minority of the committee. Representative Mazer is recognized to speak against the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After new information has come to light, I now rise today in support of this bill. What was originally a prescriptive policy bill has been amended into a study commission. Instead of rushing into changes that could have unintended consequences, this version brings all stakeholders to the table to examine SNAP in a comprehensive and balanced way. This commission would bring together recipients, providers, retailers, public health experts, and state agencies. It asks the right questions: how to encourage healthier food choices, how to ensure program integrity, and what the real economic impacts would be, not just on the state, but on local businesses and vulnerable populations. It also requires us to examine the feasibility of federal waivers and the potential downstream effects before taking action. For those reasons, I urge you to press the red button to overturn the ITL motion for SB 615 so a better motion can be made. Thank you.
The question is the Majority Committee report of inexpedience to legislate on Senate Bill 615. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay? No! The nays have it. The committee report is defeated. Now what? Representative Tellez moves ought to pass. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye! Any opposed, nay? No! The ayes have it, and the motion's adopted. The majority of the Committee on Health, Human Services, and Elderly Affairs, to which was referred Senate Bill 670, F&A, an act establishing a Developmental Services Oversight Commission relative to reporting requirements regarding the death of a child in residential care and relative to the registry of founded reports of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of vulnerable adults. Having considered the same, report the same with the following amendment and the recommendation that the bill ought to pass with amendment. Representative Jim Kofalt from the majority of the committee. The minority of the committee, having considered the same and being unable to agree with the majority, report with the following resolution: resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Mark McLean for the minority of the committee. The amendment is 1516H, printed in House Record 18 on page 33. Questions on the amendment? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. The main motion is ought to pass as amended. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? No. The ayes have it, and the motion's adopted. The chair recognizes a member from Auburn, Representative Osborne, for the third reading motion.
Thank you. Resolved that the House now adjourn from the early session, that the business of the late session be in order at the present time, that the reading of bills be by title only and resolutions by caption only, and that all bills ordered a third reading be read a third time by this resolution, and that all titles of bills be the same as adopted and that they be passed at the present time. And when the House adjourns today, it be to meet Thursday, May 14th, 2026 at 10 a.m.
Questions on the third reading motion? You ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. The motion's adopted. The House will attend to announcements. Representative Nalavanko is recognized for an announcement.
Okay, a very positive announcement for everybody for a family event. All representatives and staff are cordially invited to attend a free Meet the Lambs event hosted by Five Sisters Farm on 986 Route 12A in Plainfield, New Hampshire on Saturday, May 9th, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Rain date Saturday. Oh, sorry, May 10th. This family event-owned farm raises purebred Shetlands, the small short-tailed sheep that originated in the remote Shetland Islands off Scotland's coast where they were brought by the Vikings. The Five Sisters flock boasts 50 to 60 sheep, and this year 20 lambs were born in late March and early April. The Five Sisters name is based on the 5 daughters of the Falcone family who have all been actively involved in the New Hampshire 4-H program and help manage the flock. Five Sisters Farm supports NH4H and often hosts 4-H events. This small farm helps promote agriculture in New Hampshire as well as small business. The free annual event also includes educational exhibits, shearing and spinning demonstrations, raffle baskets, and sheep-themed gifts for sale. A lamb snuggling area is guaranteed to make
Can we take the conversations outside
smile.
so that the member can be heard?
This is a great family-oriented event, and I recommend that anybody is welcome to go and should experience snuggling lambs. Thank you very much.
The House will attend unanimous consent. Representative Bay on Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to speak in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. For us standing here, AAPI Heritage Month is not simply a celebration on the calendar. It is a reflection of a journey that began thousands of miles away, carried through uncertainty and hope, and eventually led us to raise our hands, take an oath, and serve the people of New Hampshire in this chamber. Like so many immigrants, we arrived in the United States with the belief that if you work hard, if you contribute, if you show up for your community, you can build a life of dignity and purpose. That belief is shared by millions of Asian American and Pacific Islander families who have made this country their home across generations. This month honors their stories. The railroad workers who helped build the nation's infrastructure, the farm workers who organized for fairness, the Pacific Islanders who have served our country with extraordinary commitment, and the teachers, nurses, engineers, and small business owners and public servants who strengthen our communities every day. But it also honors quieter stories, the ones that rarely make into history books. Stories of parents working night shifts so their children can study. Stories of families navigating a new language, a new culture, and a new system while holding tightly to the traditions that shape them. Stories of young people who grow up straddling two worlds and learning to claim both. We carry those stories with us. They shaped our understanding of what it means to belong, and they shaped our commitment to public service. Standing here today as naturalized citizens is a reminder that the American story is still being written, and that people like us, people who once wandered, whether they ever truly belong, are part of that story. Here in New Hampshire, our AAPI neighbors are woven into the fabric of our state. They are business owners, caregivers, innovators, students, and community leaders. They contribute to our economy, enrich our culture, and strengthen our civic life. And like all Granite Staters, they deserve to be seen, heard, and valued. AAPI Heritage Month also calls us to acknowledge the challenges that persist. Barriers in language access, disparities in data collection, and the rise in anti-Asian hate that has affected families across the country. Recognizing these challenges is not about division. It is about responsibility. It is about ensuring that every person, regardless of where they were born or what language they first spoke, can participate fully in our democracy and access the opportunities this state offers. Mr. Speaker, we stand here today because others opened doors for us. Our hope is that our work, through thoughtful policy, through inclusion, and through listening, we continue opening doors for the next generation of AAPI Granite Staters who will shape the future of our communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I'd like to move that the remarks of the previous speaker be printed in the permanent journal.
Without objection, so ordered. Representative Osborne moves that the House stand in recess for the purposes of the introduction of bills, enrolled bill amendments, enrolled bill reports, vacate motions, receiving messages, and forming committees of conference. So you're ready for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. The motion's adopted. The House is in recess until Thursday, May 14th at 10 a.m.